Good day, everyone. We are the BSHM students of SURIGAO State College of Technology, Cyber Extension College. In this video, we'll be presenting the economic, socio-cultural, and environmental impact of tourism. Also, to discuss the impact of Super Typhoon Odette to the tourist destination, SUGBA Blue Lagoon, located at SIARGAO Island, province of Surigao del Norte. The economic impact of tourism. Tourism industry is one of the major contributors to the global economy. Many argue that the tourism industry is the largest industry in the world. While its actual value is difficult to accurately determine, the economic potential of the tourism industry is indisputable. In fact, it is because of the positive economic impacts that most destinations embark on their tourism journey. There is, however, more than meets the eye in most cases. The positive economic impacts of tourism are often not as significant as anticipated. Furthermore, tourism activity tends to bring with it unwanted and often unexpected negative economic impact of tourism. The positive economic impacts of tourism and why government invests in the industry. First is foreign exchange earnings. Through tourism, government can earn foreign currency that can be used for foreign exchange. Next is contribution to government revenues. Tourism can help to raise money that is invested elsewhere by the government. Employment generation. It creates more job opportunities for unemployed people in the government. Contribution to local economies. Helps in development of local economies. Last is the development of private sector, where it gives profit and helps develop private sectors. The negative economic impacts of tourism. First is leakage, where money spent does not remain in the country but ends up elsewhere, therefore limiting the economic benefits of tourism to the host destination. Next is infrastructure cost. Creation of infrastructure like roads costs a lot that might increase tax payment as a solution for the needed cost. Increase in prices. The very presence of tourism increases prices in the local area. Increasing demand for basic services and goods from tourists will often cause price hikes that negatively impact the local residents whose income does not increase proportionately. Economic dependence of local community on tourism. Many countries run the risk of becoming too dependent on tourism. They put tourism as their main source of income, whether or not it can be a good source of profit. Next is the foreign ownership and management, where it happens when businesses are owned by foreign entrepreneurs.
Socio-cultural impact of tourism. Understanding the socio-cultural impact of tourism is vital to ensuring the sustainable management of the tourism industry. There are positive social impacts of tourism, demonstrating benefits to both the local community and the tourist. There are also negative social impacts of tourism. Positive social impacts of tourism. First is preserving local culture, where it preserves the culture of local communities. Next is strengthening communities. It becomes a catalyst for strengthening a local community. Provision of social services. It helps develop social services like roads and playgrounds. Commercialization of culture and art. It helps in commercializing local culture and arts through local cultural products and social events. Revitalization of culture and art. It helps in promoting culture and tradition that needs to be revitalized. Preservation of heritage. It helps in preserving local heritage like culture and arts. Negative social impacts of tourism. First is social change. It affects how society behaves and acts from the way of dressing to the way of speaking. Next is globalization and the destruction of preservation and heritage. It affects our traditions and destroys the heritage we preserve. Loss of authenticity. Originality becomes more rare as things change. Standardization and commercialization. There's a destination rest standardization in the process of satisfying tourist desires for familiar facilities and experiences. Culture clashes. Cultural clashes can take place as a result of differences in cultures, ethnic and religious groups, values, lifestyle, languages, and levels of prosperity. Tourist-host relationships. The relationship between the host and the tourist become complicated because of cultural differences. Increase in crime, gambling, and moral behavior. The growth of mass tourism brought wealth, but it changed the moral behavior of the local people that resulted in the commitment of crimes.
Environmental impact of tourism. Why is the environment so important to tourism? The quality of the environment, both natural and man-made, is essential to tourism. However, tourism's relationship with the environment is complex and many activities can have adverse environmental effects if careful tourism planning and management is not undertaken. Many of the negative environmental impacts that result from tourism are linked with the construction of general infrastructure such as roads and airports, and of tourism facilities including resorts, hotels, restaurants, shops, golf courses, and marinas. The negative impacts of tourism development can gradually destroy the environmental resources on which it depends. However, tourism doesn't only have a negative impact on the environment. Tourism has the potential to create beneficial effects on the environment by contributing to environmental protections and conservation. It is a way to raise awareness of environmental values, and it can serve as a tool to finance protection of natural areas and increase their economic importance. Positive environmental impacts of tourism. Although there are not as many positive environmental impacts of tourism as there are negative, it is important to note that tourism can help preserve the environment. First is, the most commonly noted positive environmental impact of tourism is the raising awareness. Many destinations promote ecotourism and sustainable tourism, and this can help to educate people about the environmental impacts of tourism. Next is, positive environmental impacts can also induced through the need for the environment. Tourism-related activities are created to create a suitable environment. In many destinations, they have organized operations for tasks such as cleaning the beach in order to keep the destination aesthetically pleasant and thus keep the tourists happy. Some destinations have taken this further and put restrictions in place for the number of tourists that can visit at one time. Negative environmental impacts of tourism. Negative environmental impacts of tourism occur when the level of visitor use is greater than the environment's ability to cope with this use. Uncontrolled conventional tourism possesses potential threats to many natural areas around the world. It can put enormous pressure on an area and lead to impacts such as soil erosion, increased pollution, discharges into the sea, natural habitat loss, increased pressure on endangered species, and heightened vulnerability to forest fires. It often puts a strain on water resources, and it can force local population to compete for the use of critical resources. Negative impacts of tourism. Depletion of natural resources, water resources, land degradation, local resources. Pollution, air pollution and noise, solid waste and littering, sewage, aesthetic pollution. Physical impacts of tourism development, construction activities and infrastructure development. Deforestation and intensified or unsustainable use of land, marina development, destruction of natural coral reefs.
SUGBA Blue Lagoon is one of the famous destinations in SIARGAO Island, Surigao del Norte, the world-class surfing destination in the Philippines. It is a natural cove in the heart of mangrove forest and is known for its clear, turquoise blue water surrounded by limestone formation and lush vegetation. Now, it becomes almost unrecognizable after famed natural beauty has been decimated by Typhoon Odette when it hit the island on December 17, 2021 Thursday. Beside its present day SUGBA Blue Lagoon, the trees in the mountain are stretched out and left less beyond recognition. The lake now only reflecting dark brown from its surrounding, and the popular jumping board destroyed. According to a Department of Health DOH representative in SIARGAO, Andanar once was a paradise island covered with green vegetation, now turned to a post-apocalyptic scene in a Hollywood film. Despite the damages and losses brought by Typhoon Odette to the Philippine surfing capital, Andanar said the people in Barangay Caob are now adapting and trying to survive. This small barangay only relies on fishing and tourism. With SUGBA Lagoon, tourism on half and their fishing boats destroyed. Their only chance to get back is with the help of other people who can assist them as they bounce back, Andanar said. Unlike other tourist spots, where there are many foreign settlers who have connection that can help their community, Caob remain unnoticed these days, despite being famous for their SUGBA Blue Lagoon. He added, when he talked to some locals in Caob, most of them wish to have a stable source of clean drinking water and enough supplies that they can use to rebuild their homes and boats. With many residents in SIARGAO having lost their homes and livelihoods, Andanar hopes that more help will reach the island barangays and sitios that were severely devastated by the Typhoon Odette. More than 2 months after Typhoon Odette pummeled SIARGAO Island and Surigao del Norte, Lani Lipio of the Municipal Tourism Operation Office of Del Carmen declared that the SUGBA Blue Lagoon, one of the popular destinations in SIARGAO, will be open to tourists. However, tourists are informed that not all amenities will be available, such as cottages and other services. In SUGBA Blue Lagoon, they just set up a tent where tourists can temporarily shelter, but they assure that the iconic diving board will be available for the visitors. They have discussed these issues and changes during their promotion of the revival of the tourist destination. Of more than 120 tourist boats registered at the Tourism Office of Del Carmen last year, only 50 boats are operational as more than half were damaged during the typhoon. The 50 boats will be available on opening day and will cater to tourists going to SUGBA Blue Lagoon, Cauhagan Island, and the Sandbar, all in Del Carmen.